Let me introduce you to the Agile2 Integrator. Agile2 is based on noise analysis, the ability to differentiate the signal from the noise and establish the identification of a peak and also its baseline, then attaching itself to the associated peak limits and metrics. So you can see the challenge here in terms of the noise model, establishing the baseline from a local sense in terms of that chromatogram, and also to distinguish that this is noise versus that there is really the beginning of a peak. Alright, let's take a look at the differences between Agile versus the new Agile2. Alright, dropout awareness. With Agile2 on the top here, you can see that the baseline looks more natural because the integrator identifies these dropouts compared to Agile, which does not. Next, step awareness. Now, as you can see from the top with Agile2, when the solvent peak here rises, you can see that it's smart enough to figure that step function out here, where Agile does get involved in integrating part of this solvent elution peak. Agile2 and better baselines. As you can see from Agile2 on the top here, when the baseline is offset with 0, you can see how it takes into account the local baseline and gives you a cleaner area than Agile there, which is drawing it closer to the 0 mark. So another case of baseline awareness, you can see with Agile2 on the top here that it follows this baseline up here and finds the peak shoulder as well as other small peaks next to this large peak, whereas Agile was not as sensitive to the local baseline and might have missed those. A couple of benefits of Agile2 that I'll point out. First, higher sensitivity to small peaks, and we can see that because we see a better library match scores in a statistical sense. The idea of there being when it finds those small peaks and returns a library score that's a good match, we've got the right peak. Another benefit is better baselines, and with better baselines you can get a higher capture rate from your chromatogram because it can follow that local baseline. So a quick demo here. I'll show you in the method editor how to change your integrator to Agile2 and also point out features in the peak filtering that are in that same section. So here we are in the Mass Hunter Quant method editor looking at advanced tasks integration parameter setup, and this is where I set the integrator for either the target or its qualifier. And you can see here I've got a list of integrators, the latest being Agile2. Included, of course, are integrators with parameters. I'm going to show you also the peak filter. So in the peak filter, you can set a threshold by peak height area counts, and in addition, you can set a threshold based on signal to noise. These are handy if you know your chromatography and the size of the peaks that you're expecting. You can limit those returned from the integrator based on this criteria. Thanks for your attention.